Welcome back into the ASUG News Studio. My name is Tom Whalgum. I'm co-editorial director of ASUGnews.com. Well, we're delighted to have Jeremy Stierwalt in the studio. Thank you for coming and being the sponsor of Optimal Solutions. We couldn't do it without you.
Absolutely, great to be here.
And I want to say a huge congrats last night on the Developer Wars.
Thank you.
You're excited up there with the team. I mean, I know we got other stuff to talk to, but we talked just a little bit about what that made you think, what your team did, what your company did.
Sure.
A little bit about that.
I couldn't be prouder of that team that we were able to put together. It was an unbelievable experience for them, an unbelievable experience for me as well, just because I was able to spend some time actually down in the Developer Wars, the war room, and see kind of what they were going through and kind of challenges and real world scenarios and them kind of planning that process out. So it means a tremendous amount, obviously, to me as the and also to the organization as well.
Right.
To be able to not only have that sort of accolade or so to speak, or that feather in our cap, but to really be able to help from a humanitarian perspective, right, the food bank, and hopefully deliver a solution that can be reusable for not only just the food banks in and around the Orlando area, potentially other food banks that are out there in the market today.
That's a huge point that you guys made last night, and I think that's a great point.
Right.
So you're at this conference, and you're on the show floor. What's the buzz? What are you hearing? Tell me about what you guys are hearing. What's you're most excited about from customers, potential customers at the show?
I think we're seeing a lot of activity, at least throughout the conference. I think with BusinessObjects sitting on top of HANA, right? That's always been a big play. A lot of people are looking for rapid deployment solutions around the HANA capabilities. So I think that's one particular component. I think another area that we're hearing a lot of buzz around is just with the new 4.0 platform, the connectivity back to SAP BW. And so really being able to explore that and explore kind of the new areas of connectivity and sort of synchronization of the BusinessObjects platform with the SAP backend.
Now, I know you guys, Optimal Solutions, have a lot of great processes. I was talking with Elliot yesterday about Optimal Lab. We talked a little bit about this before, but is there an approach that you're going to, because customers are coming in, I'm sure, with a wide range of abilities.
Right.
Where do you guys start with someone who's coming in? What's your guys' kind of overall approach to that when we're talking about BW on HANA? These are new things, exciting but new things for a lot of people.
Right. So, I think what we really try to do is first to then drive out business process first. I think that's really integral to being successful at any one of these sort of HANA-like implementations that are out there. If it's not driven by a business process, then there's really no way to sort of sell that back to the business and really being able to, the business being able to afford that type of a cost associated with it. So we really start with business process first and really try to drive out a business case for that. Once we're able to drive that business case, then we start talking about the underlying technology, the HANA platform itself, and getting information out of HANA via BusinessObjects and things of that nature.
We hear so much about HANA at this event. Do you think the hype is worth it? Do you think that, we've been hearing so much from SAP.
Right.
Are you sensing? I know Elliot's done some great work. I know you're doing great. Is the hype? Is it really merit that kind of hype, you think?
So it's a very good question. It's one that I asked myself quite a bit. Being around the analytics space for so long, you see a lot of new tools that are out there in the marketplace, and HANA was one of those ones that I was very skeptical about from the very beginning. We've seen some other in-memory database solutions in the marketplace. So that said, then we really sort of took a deep dive into HANA. We implemented HANA internally at Optimal, brought it up in our Optimal Labs environments, and really did a lot of testing around those scenarios. Once I was able to actually see the cost-benefit of implementing that in-memory solution, it's astronomical how fast that solution really is. So I think you have to make specific business cases around that. So for instance, one of the big ones is really COPA, right? There's a really great cost-benefit analysis for COPA as it relates back to a HANA implementation. BW on HANA, I think there's certainly some cost benefits there as well. But is it worth all the hype? Yes, absolutely. I think a lot of customers are sitting back a little bit and saying, let me wait till version 2 comes out or whatever that case may be. We've done a number of implementations already, and the stability of that platform and the ability to generate information that quickly is certainly worth the effort and the cost associated with it.
BI 4.0, obviously another hot topic.
Sure.
You've worked with a lot of BusinessObjects, your wheelhouse. You've worked with a lot of customers. I know there's a wide range of clients and their situations. But when you're talking about going from 3.x to 4.0, are customers getting enticed enough to go? What's holding customers back if they are being held back from going from 3.x to 4.0? And what's your guys' advice there to customers?
So that's a good question. So I think for an existing SAP customer, I think there is a tremendous impact on going to 4.0 with the connectivity that's available today. For a non-SAP customer, I think there is less of a drive, or has been less of a drive, up until the release of Feature Pack 3 or Service Pack 4. The expansion of Explorer and the exploration views, in addition to the mobility additions that have been added on top of visual intelligence.
Yep.
I think there's really a compelling case now for those existing 3.1 customers to go to 4.0. Without those new tools and that new functionality available, it really there wasn't a big impact for non-SAP customers.
Right. And you can't talk really about BI and not talk about self-service BI. I know that's of interest to you a lot. I mean, I talk to people here and they're all talking about it. First off, can you kind of define it as optimal, and you see self-service BI, and are you seeing an uptake in that, people coming in? I know everyone's talking about big data, but self-service BI is another kind of buzz topic as well.
Absolutely. So I think that from a self-service perspective, once again, we'll start with the business case, right? But being able to identify the capabilities within the platform and being able to identify some business cases where you might want to try to implement a little more self-service. So, for instance, I think what we're really selling, or I shouldn't say selling, but we're really trying to implement across the organizations is really more process-related intelligent workflows is what I'll call them. And when I say that, I mean really starting off with the data exploration tools that are out there today, and then drilling down into the more operational-like components on an as-needed basis. I think today a lot of organizations have a lot of operational reporting, and it's almost to the point where they have so many reports they don't even know how to manage them and deal with them, and they're stuck in this constant cycle of being able to maintain a lot of that content. So we like to take a step back and say, instead of delivering a lot of pre-packaged content to your constituents or your customers, really enable them to then explore all that information and refine that into some more targeted types of reporting and activity.
Right.
So that really, the enablement of the data visualization tools and the data exploration tools, I think really then in turn enables that self-service environment.
Right. You know, it's interesting you mentioned kind of the report sprawl problem,
right?
But also tools. I think, you know, for someone on the outside, it seems like there's a lot of number of tools, and one of the SAP execs up here was asked, will we see fewer tools in the future? And he said probably will be. Do you think that's a good thing, that there will be less tools? But well, he obviously said there will be the underlying functionality so way more robust than what we have today, way more powerful.
Right.
But do you think sometimes too many tools can be overwhelming, or do you think?
Certainly. Right, and we hear that from customers all the time. Right? We even have a prioritization matrix that we implement or show to our customers, and they have to ask 15 or 20 questions to get down to find the right tool for the right solution. And I think from an SAP perspective, they keep on adding tools to the portfolio, and you have to understand the acquisition process and how they've acquired a lot of these tools. But the long story short is, with the integration of these tools kind of at a longer-term strategic approach for SAP, I think that's definitely a much better approach for them moving forward, because there is a lot of ambiguity and amongst the user community that don't quite know what tool to use for what problem they face.
And don't change those names of those tools.
That's right.
Often. You also have, we were talking about on the phone, kind of a methodology or Center of Excellence kind of methodology. You want to talk a little bit about that? Because I think, you know, that actually Center of Excellence, you hear about that in the SAP world. I'd love to hear what your guys' take on that is.
Yeah, so for each one of our implementations that we run through, we've really recognized that in order to be successful at doing those for customers, we have to have a pretty strategic and very well mapped out methodology, implementation methodology. And I think that really starts at a very high level with an overall governance model, which a lot of companies and organizations lack from a BI strategy perspective today. Today they've enabled some of the end users, let's say, but they've gotten caught in this mix of report sprawl and people generating their own content. There's very little governance around that process from a business intelligence perspective. So back to we start really with that governance model and try to institute and implement that governance model at any organization that we start off with. Secondary to that, then we actually get into the process pieces, right? Standards and templates and project plans and guidelines and things of that nature. So Certainly that Center of Excellence then helps drive that and becomes a cornerstone for that business intelligence program within that organization. A lot of training is also a part of that Center of Excellence as well.
The other interesting thing is, here IT people are a little bit under siege. They want dashboards on their, the users, want dashboards on their iPads. They want now. And for an IT or project leader to step back and say, hey, we need to think about governance. We need to think about data. We need to think about all this training before. Is that hard for clients to do because there is that pressure to
there
on
is.
the iPad?
I think they find it's challenging, but I think there's a very easy business case to be made when you look at a customer and say, if you don't do this now, you'll have a maintenance nightmare to deal with down the road. So you're not being very strategic if you don't at least put some governance around those processes today.
Right.
So if you have that conversation and talk with this person or that person about organizations that haven't put that governance process in place and see the mess that they're dealing with, right?
Yep.
It's very easy to make that point come across very clearly.
And you guys, that's one of the things you do right up front, I'm assuming.
Absolutely.
To make that point.
Yeah. Any and every customer, we always start off with governance and that cornerstone of BI around governance and that Center of Excellence.
Jeremy, thank you so much for coming in. It's super appreciate it, and thank you again for the sponsorship.
Absolutely. Anytime. It's been a great week this week.
Thank you, and congrats last night. I hope you guys celebrated your victory.
We did celebrate a little bit last night, but I think we'll celebrate a little bit more tonight. So.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thanks.
For more interviews with SAP newsmakers and ASUG members and partners, check out asugonline.com as well as our YouTube page, ASUG TV. And thank you for watching.